Alright, so hear me out. Your ego is kind of like the TikTok algorithm, and scrolling is kind of like what meditation can be. So I often tell people, hey, you need to get TikTok, get on it, start scrolling. The problem is you're gonna see a bunch of random stuff when you first start. It's not gonna be what you love, but you gotta keep going through it. And it's gonna learn. The algorithm's gonna pick it up. What are you spending time looking at? What are you paying attention to? And eventually you're gonna get this feed of stuff that you just love. And in a way, your mind and ego do the exact same thing. So if you just let any old thought that comes up in here take your attention, your ego is going to keep giving you more and more of that. However, if you scroll, and this can be a meditation, you just scroll past your thoughts. You don't even finish the sentence. Something starts, you let it go. Unless it's actually interesting. Your ego will start throwing better and better and more interesting things at you to try to see if it can get your attention, because that is what it wants. It wants your attention. And there's beauty in keeping your attention in the present moment, but this is how to have better thoughts.
Another way the universe reflects things towards you in terms of people is like, instead of them being the opposite of you, it's like they are actually just doing what you're doing, but on a lesser scale. It's a fractal reflection. For example, you could see someone that is being a victim, right? And you're like, oh my god, that guy's such a victim, they always complain, they're so annoying, yada yada yada. But chances are, what you see in them, you might actually be doing that yourself, because like it takes one to know one, right? And someone, let's say a higher version of you, could be looking at you and being like, well, this guy, you, is being such a victim. And it's like, you have no idea that you're being a victim, much like the person that you're looking at has no idea that they're being a victim. Like, if you take a piece of broccoli from the main broccoli, it still looks like the main broccoli, right? And then it's like you can take a smaller piece from the smaller piece, and it always looks like the same. It's a fractal. And sometimes you are the bigger piece to someone else's smaller broccoli, and sometimes you are the smaller broccoli to someone else's bigger broccoli, if that makes sense.
I'm sure you've heard the phrase, there's nothing new under the sun. I'm about to take that idea and run with it. If you've watched my previous videos, then you've heard me state that time isn't linear and all of time is happening at once. Next time you have an idea, I want you to reinterpret it as you've somehow managed to peek into a future where what you imagine actually exists and is quite common. The energy around that kind of thinking is different, because now there's no pressure on having to create an idea because it already exists. Right now, in the future, your problem has been solved. Someone. That book has been written. Someone. That cure has been discovered. Someone. That great story or big idea that you've been sitting on, it's actually widely adopted in the future. It's now commonplace and has been implemented. And you've been given the opportunity to be the one credited for actualizing it. And if you do nothing with the information that you've gleaned, someone else will, because others have the same ability to glean the future too.
The innate nature of the mind is pure stillness and in perfect harmony with reality. The ego is an illusion that's created piece by piece every single day of your life. It is the result of being conditioned by afflictive thoughts and negative emotions which create duality between you and the present moment. Too many of us are disconnected from source and cannot comprehend the unity of humanity. This us versus that mindset is the root of all conflict in the world. But you can't blame others. It starts with you. Challenge your opinions, question your beliefs, and prioritize love for your fellow human above whatever differences you think you have.
If you're overwhelmed by the number of things you have to do every day, then they're the wrong things to do. There are, and will always be, an infinite number of things you could do with your life. And the way we get around this as we develop is by seeing tasks from wider and narrower lenses. When you go to dinner with a friend, thinking about making the right facial expression, picking the right food to eat, finding the right parking spot, not getting mugged before you walk in the door, picking a restaurant that won't poison you, and having a good time with your friend is a bit much. So you simply think of it as going to dinner. When you're trying to improve at surfing though, you think about something as specific as the placement of one foot. If you're overwhelmed, either zoom out to find a larger aspect to focus on that will solve your problem, or zoom in to find a specific solution to move you forwards.
Thank you guys for coming back for part 2. So let's speak on this fasting. Now in the other video, I dropped that knowledge about making sure that we're balancing chakras, keeping those chakras balanced, and making sure that's the most important thing when it comes down to your spiritual journey, because that plays a big part in your body, mind, spirit, and soul, and also your astral body. So getting back with this mental fasting. Now with fasting, guys, you take your time. It's not something that you rush. You do what the body allows and what the body wants. The exercise for you. Fasting from negative thinking. Oh, I know it sounds easy, but it's not as easy as you think. This assignment, I feel like it's going to really keep you in the present, and it's going to really help you to focus on what should be loud in your mind and what shouldn't be. Remember I said that the past, we can't live in it. We can't be in the present and the future all at the same time. Well, that is true. During your spiritual journey, you will not be able to hold anything that does not serve you mentally at all. It will cause headaches, strain, stress, sleepless nights, toxicity, elasticity, body pains and ache, anxiety. Hell, you might even end up in a cuckoo house. No judgment. At the very beginning of the day, speak positive to yourself. Ignore all negative.
You have never communicated exactly what you were thinking to another person in your entire life. See, words are just placeholders. They're a way to try to communicate what's going on inside of our heads to the inside of someone else's head. And so when we communicate something to somebody, we try to get it to them in the most complete but also the quickest way possible. But that's never going to work, because what we think is couched in the context of our own experience, and it's going to carry all these nuances that we can't attach to the words that we're saying. And then the way that your words are received are also going to be filtered through the context of the other person's experience. If I said, hey, look at that tree, it could mean a number of things. Appreciate the beauty of that tree. Oh, there's something going on over there on the branches. Isn't that an interesting variety of this species? And if I meant appreciate it, I could mean it from like a spiritual perspective, where you might be an artist looking at colors and contrasts. I guess the point of this is that if you struggle to communicate, it's okay. We can't do it as well as we want.